And welcome to the official Game Awards with me, Geoff Keighley.
Hi, I'm Brie Larson.
This year, Brie Larson, you're looking great. Love the beard.
I guess I'm the Swedish Chef then.
Liam's the Swedish Chef. It's all kicking off. Can't wait for Kojima to join us on the call.
And Eddie Vedder's performance is going to be spectacular.
Yeah.
He'll be joining us on Microsoft Teams in the next half an hour.
Yeah. I love a bit of Pearl Jam. Right. So we're going to do some categories. I can't remember if we did this last year or not, or if we just kind of rambled on about which games were our games of the year. But we're going to pick our favourite games that fall into kind of four different categories. And it's been difficult actually going through stuff, and it hasn't, for me anyway, been an obvious year of like standouts and stuff, and like sweating over which one I prefer, because strangely a lot of the games that I played and beat and finished, and I didn't think enough of to think that they would be worthy of Game of the Year. So it's been a tough one. And then we're also going to do another video for next week's podcast over this kind of Christmas break period, which is going to be our upcoming games, things we're looking forward to, which is kind of the complete opposite in terms of being absolutely spoiled for choice. And there's so much stuff coming up next year. That's going to be a good podcast.
As for this one,
shite. Absolutely.
I think I remember last time we were recording this podcast, we were eating celebrations on Mike's sofa whilst mine and Mike's wives were making the dinner. And now, like the 50s, like the 1950s. And now, here we are. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to have to go to get some milk from the shop after this. Yeah. Different world. 2020, different world.
Can I just be extra clear as well? Jake said mine and Mike's wife. We do actually have two wives. We're not both married to the same person.
Not two wives each.
That's right. It's confusing. What a minefield. So here's the situation. I've got one wife. Jake's got one wife. Right?
Different women.
Different women. Right?
Yeah. But you know how women are. Sometimes they start talking. Sometimes, so they were both in the same home.
So we thought, get in the kitchen. Just, get them out of the way.
Yeah, we got a podcast to do, we're out here.
The men are working. So, so that's not happening this year. Instead, we're doing the official Game Awards with me, Geoff Keighley. So I think some of these categories are going to kind of, we just tried to pick, we've got an hour or so for these podcasts, so wanted to cover as much ground as we could, and also give fair play to the games that we've played that weren't necessarily new releases this year, and things that have had great bits of DLC and expansions and what have you. So we are, and I'm sure we'll kind of name drop the other games that were in the conversation as well as we go. So when it comes to, for example, best game, I'm sure we will kind of briefly go over the things that didn't quite make the cut and stuff. So I guess possibly the first place to start, which would be quite a good one, I think, is to go straight in with best multiplayer. So these are games that came out this year, or things that released officially this year that we played and enjoyed. And multiplayer games is like always that kind of thing where you've got your single player game going, you've got your whatever you're kind of working on, but this is always how I play multiplayer games. Like I'll always just have something else and then jump into the multiplayer game every now and then. So at the moment, I guess we'd say it's like Call of Duty Black Ops that we're kind of playing together a little bit.
Yeah.
But by the time you listen to this, it'll probably be Destiny 2.
Absolutely, it will be. I'm regretting COD already. But earlier this year, we have played some multiplayer. We have got through some multiplayer this year together. So I'm not even thinking about whatever you guys might have been, playing separately, or which does happen.
Yeah.
So who wants to go first on their best multiplayer game of 2020, or best multiplayer experience of 2020?
Oh, experience sounds good. Well, I don't want to go first because I think mine will be a secular choice, and I don't want to just go out there and, after all that warmth you've just shown to our collaborative efforts playing games, I don't want to betray you.
Oh no, I want to be betrayed. I want to
All right, then fine. It's Legends of Runeterra. It came out in April officially, but there's been months of beta testing. And this game man, it's a good game, I was on the very, very, very forefront of, launch, got to Masters, just worked hard, tried my best, great season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Other teams played well.
There's been question marks over your defense this season, Jake.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I like to say. That there's been a lot of stuff that Riot Games have been up to this year.
Yeah.
Obviously, with COVID, they've really pivoted from doing huge in-person esports events and shit. And they released a collectible card game. So, closest to like Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering, Legends of Runeterra is like a card game set in the League of Legends universe, which I don't give a fuck about or know anything about at all. I played League of Legends like 2012, I think. I was playing StarCraft 2 a lot with my friends, and then we were looking for a new game to play, and everyone was talking about this one, so I picked it up. Played as some crocodile motherfucker for ages, and then some big guy with a moustache and a shield, brown, whatever. And then I didn't play it again, innit? And then, so I'm getting this game, and I'm thinking, all right, so it's a game that's kind of, riding off the coattails of the success that is League of Legends. How good can it be? Turns out it's very good. It is very, very good. It's very good. It's very free, and it's very fair. So that's like the perfect thing for anything like this. There's been like a lot of features getting added to the point where I reinstalled the game about a month and a half ago after 4 months away from it, and there was a lot of learning to do, and the meta had completely changed. But when I was riding the wave of that, where the weekly meta, I was ahead of the curve, and it was like a thrill like no other, believe it or not. Being a dad and having time to play games, being like, I don't know, like here and there, to be able to play a game on my phone that was turn-based and strategic was a nice change. It felt like a premium game. I didn't have to splash out a single penny to collect the cards. Everything like that is sort of sorted itself out. You could kind of buy cards with in-game currency that was free that you earned by playing it, and I had every single thing in the game. So then I could really start working on debts. And when you're at that point of the game is when the game can really sing. And I guess it depends how good you are at these types of games, but I think it is one of those things that you learn how to be good at, or you've got a style. And I think when I started, the style that I take was very, very effective towards the chin strokers that were in that first wave, which made me feel very, very good. And I climbed the ranks very, very fast. I entered a tournament. I was in an invitational. Like, it was very, very big part of my spring, early summer. I went to America for the first time in my life, which was a huge like bucket list thing I wanted to do in my life. And I was in my hotel room playing Legends of Runeterra on my phone, when I could have been going out and fucking eating chicken and waffles or whatever you do in America. So I just, it really, and you guys can remember, my wife can remember, it really took a hold of me. And it was the thrill like no other of besting a very honourable opponent by like finally pulling off a masterful thing. And I think that it's something that kind of is in the forefront of people's mind at the moment because of the fucking Queen's Gambit. It's chess is kind of a bit popular at the moment, and that's so liking it to chess is not quite the same, but that same thrill of when you manage to pull off this, which then leads to this, and it's been a very, very close game right up until the wire, and then it's just a complete win. It's great. Good for my brain. I felt very good playing it. So that's what I would say.
That's a good answer. That's a really good answer. I totally forgot that you played that, and I think that definitely holds up. Like, because I remember at the time you had like how excited you were about it and stuff. And I just wish I could, for once in my life, really get into a card game. And I never have. And I always like the idea of it, and I always like the artwork and stuff on like ring and shit.
Oh yeah.
I'm always into like the superficial kind of idea of it, but I've never really properly got into a card game like that. So that's a good pick. That's a good pick. What about you, Liam?
So I have another free-to-play game, but this time it's an MMO, and it's Phantasy Star Online 2. I got really into this when it came out for the first time ever in the West after I think it came out in 2012 back in Japan.
Yeah.
So literally, it comes to the West 8 years later, and I was that excited for it. You couldn't actually play it officially in Europe. You had to use a VPN to trick the Microsoft Store into thinking you were in America to download it, and then once you downloaded it, it was fine. It was completely region free after that. So I even jumped through all these hoops just to even get on the game, and I played it pretty much every day, nearly for a good 2 months, I think.
Did you?
Yeah. And like it's an action-based MMO. It's not like WoW where you're just like hitting hotkeys. So it's all action-based, and you can choose between a load of different classes. There's like variations of like melee fighter, ranged person with guns, mages, support characters, tanks, healers, all them. It's got all your MMO archetypes in there, and except it plays more like the closest comparison I can think of is something like Destiny, where you have this big like hub world that's got all your vendors and stuff in it, and your quest givers, and you pick out you choose whatever quest you want to do. You go do a bit of shopping. You can like go change out all your equipment, change your class if you want, and then you choose your mission, and it drops you into those like instances. They're like with a bunch of other players, and it's this semi-openish world. No, well, not really. It's more like just a map, really. Like in Destiny 2, when you drop into, I don't know, Europa or whatever. I don't know if that's the new one. I've not played it, so I don't know. But it drops you into this like instance, and there's a bunch of other players running around. There's these live events kicking off every so often, where you can all team up to take down bosses. There's like there's just like so much stuff to do in it, and the community from what I played was like very warm, very welcoming. There was higher level players who would like go out their way to help out new people coming to the game. People who've been playing the Japanese version of the game and made new accounts just so they could be like helping out all these new people who might have never heard of Phantasy Star Online before.
Which you should never take for granted, right? Because online communities like that can always go kind of either way, can't they? So it's nice, worth celebrating when they're friendly.
Exactly. I don't know how it got into the higher levels of the game, but in the beginning, everyone was very warm and friendly to you. Didn't matter who you are. Like if you were by yourself, but you needed to like queue up with a group for a mission, people were no one was ever shouting at you, calling you like a scrub, telling you to get off the server. They were always like very understanding if you were new and all that. Great little community at the time. I don't know if it's changed anymore. It's finally available now for everyone. It's just like you can go on Steam and download it. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. It's available. And it's jam-packed with content as well. It's got like, I think it had like half of the content of the Japanese version at launch, which was still like, hundreds of hours worth of stuff to do. Yeah. But Sega have slowly been patching in, it's like it's almost at feature parity, I think, now with the Japanese version. Yeah. So the free-to-play model, incredibly fair as well, I have to say. Like, I've never felt once pressured to put any money into it. It can get slightly annoying sometimes because they do put like a storage restriction on your item box. So you do have to be selling stuff and like just getting rid of your trash. Getting rid of your trash.
Yeah, I've had a cough in about a week and a half, right? So I keep muting. Luckily, I'm not the one talking, but sorry.
So it's like you do occasionally have to like keep throwing trash at your inventory because you get loads of like shit equipment that you don't actually need and stuff like MMO typical stuff. But it's honestly, if you're like a very budget conscious gamer and you want to get into an MMO that is fair but free, Phantasy Star Online 2 is a great one, and especially if you want to be a bit more involved because it's all action based combat where it rewards you for timing your hits and stuff. So it's not like you just target an enemy, keep hitting your keyboard macros to queue up all your spells. It's literally just like it rewards you for paying attention, being involved. There are active skills you can use on your keyboard, but you don't need to. Very easy to learn, very easy to get into. It can seem a bit daunting at first, just because of the sheer overwhelming amount of stuff there is. And it is a bit visual slot machine at times when you first start. There's just loads of like bright lights flashing on your screen, different things popping off. But I had a really fun time with this game, and for it to actually be good after 8 years of expectation, it genuinely surprised me.
Definitely worth celebrating that. So that's two surprises there. I've got one as well. It's cheating completely, but I've just got to be honest, it's the best multiplayer experience I had this year. Lord of the Rings: Battle for Middle-earth 2, which we played over the summer, was
that's amazing.
Beautiful.
To be honest, was probably the best kind of bit of gaming that I've had this year. Kind of full stop, really, because I've been wanting to play an RTS with you guys for a long time, and Battle for Middle-earth 2 is probably one of my favourite games ever. And Jake, especially, you've talked about it a lot, having played it when it came out. I can't remember if you played it, Liam, back in the day.
No, I didn't.
Right. But Jake, kind of sounded like he had a very similar experience to me playing it and playing like some ranked matches and whatever on the console. So playing Battle for Middle-earth 2 using like fan-made, mods and servers and logging in and all of that stuff was beautiful. Yeah. We played it like a surprising amount. Like I thought like as a just dreaming that maybe we'd have like one Sunday afternoon on it. But we actually played it quite a bit, and we came back to it a few times, and it was a lot of fun. And it was during a period in like the calendar where there just wasn't a lot going on. Like there wasn't a lot of new releases and stuff. So that was just cards on the table, the best multiplayer experience I had this year. But in terms of things that actually had some official release date or something, or relevance to this year, I would probably say, between the things we've played, I probably would say Deep Rock Galactic,
right?
Because of how much of a laugh it was.
Yeah,
we played more of like Call of Duty Warzone, and possibly enjoyed it even more. Over a period of time, but Deep Rock Galactic, we actually were fucking howling some of the times, just because of the in-game stuff, and we were really like. Yeah, it was kind of them, and it was just generating those like moments where you want to like take screenshots and whatever, and fucking just remember what you're doing. And Deep Rock Galactic is an easy game to recommend to anyone interested in a bit of a, simple but very engaging multiplayer that isn't built around like an MMO or whatever, but still has that like character-based kind of persistence. Yeah. Feels a bit more like Left 4 Dead or something in the way.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, and
it has that great like social area in the the hub is full of nice little details, and Deep Rock Galactic is a very fun, very good experience that's easy to recommend, and it was like 2 gig or 1 gig. It was tiny
game, and we played it on the PC when we were all playing it together. But it came out. It's been added to Xbox Game Pass. For PC and console. So if you've got Game Pass, you don't have to pay for it.
So that is an easy game to recommend as a multiplayer game. So that's it. That's the best multiplayer category for 2020.
Should we give honourable mention to Warzone? Because we did play that a hell of a lot.
Yeah. And I think, in fact, everybody on the planet did. And I think it was a very benevolent move by Activision, to be completely honest with you. They could have charged full fat for that. And everyone in COVID would have spent their money, their fucking furlough money on that, and wouldn't really have complained for the quality of game you get from that. It is a great game, and it is a free game. The only problem with it is it's fucking massive. It's the same size as 100 Deep Rock Galactic.
It's the total opposite of Deep Rock Galactic.
But we definitely all checked in, and
played it a lot.
Yeah. And again, the quality of game you get for for free.
Yep.
It's funny that Phantasy Star Online and Legend of Runeterra are all free games.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't intentional, but it is definitely worth a mention. But yeah, Warzone, I mean, it doesn't even need an introduction, does it? Everybody knows the Warzone. And I think for that, it needs a mention, doesn't it?
Yeah, Battle Royale, Call of Duty, they've tried, it wasn't the first time they've tried it, but it was probably the first time where it really fucking...
They got it right.
Made an impact. Got a lot of people playing it. And, and I was playing it with my brother and stuff like that, and it was really good fun to just jump into that. And the only thing is how much of a kind of... At the moment, it's just this confusing, especially if you're playing a next-gen system, it's a confusing installation situation, which I hope will be tidied up. At least by the next COD, hopefully they'll make that a bit cleaner. Also, we haven't even mentioned anything like Fall Guys, which...
So if you were to... I reckon the multiplayer game of the year will probably go to Among Us, right? Yeah. To be honest with you, completely free on mobile. I think it's like £2, £3 on Steam. Huge. My daughter came home from school the other day and said we were playing Among Us on the playground. First of all, what are you doing killing each other? And second of all, like, that's, to me, it's when it's gone big, isn't it? When not only her, but a bunch of people know what it is. And it's a game from a couple of years ago that's really just picked up steam, and I think that this year has really been the year where multiplayer games have been their highest because of the pandemic. So we've seen some like absolutely colossal numbers attached to this sort of thing. So Warzone broke loads of records. Valorant broke loads of records. Rogue Company broke more records. Then we had Fall Guys, which was incredibly popular. Then it was Among Us. Phasmophobia from October onwards has been huge. Most watched games of the year as well. So I just I think there's loads of really good contenders, but I guess it's just
I just want to say I don't know what Rogue Company is or Phasmophobia, and I've never heard of Phasmophobia.
It's a different world, and in the nicest way possible. A lot of these games are like multiplayer for people who spend a lot of time by themselves on Steam, actively socializing on Discord, and genuinely not being like you, really. So you are the complete... It's funny how there is like a complete A and B with multiplayer games. When you want a multiplayer game, you want to play a game with people that...
to me?
Yeah, you. Right. Mike, you will want to play a game with people...
I'm Geoff Keighley.
No, sorry. People like you, people like yourself, Geoff, will want to play. will want to play a game with people that you know.
Did you notice how much respect lifted up when you pretended you were speaking to Geoff Keighley? When you were speaking to me, it was you, and then all of a sudden it was people like yourself, Geoff.
It's been a bit. I don't give a fuck about Geoff Keighley. But the point is that when it comes to you and lots of other people like you, you'll want to play a multiplayer game with people that you already know.
Yeah,
because it's like going to the pub with people that you know.
Yeah,
not like going to a nightclub full of randoms. But these types of games, Among Us and Phasmophobia, the fun is the meeting people part, fuck that. A lot of people don't like that, So Phasmophobia and Among Us, these are all these streamer bait games, and you're playing. But you want to go to the pub with your mates, and these lot want to go out on a night out and meet a. Good
analogy. I like that. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so that's the multiplayer, best multiplayer category, thoroughly fucking done. So let's now do best DLC / ongoing game.
State of the industry there. Best DLC.
Yeah. That's it, yeah. So this is an award for any, it could be a single expansion, it could be general kind of DLC support over the course of the year, it could be free, huge updates that kind of change the game. These are all things that happen all the time now, so we just kind of wanted to, have something that, and maybe they wouldn't be anywhere near the best game conversation, but, they are things worth celebrating. So, best DLC / ongoing game. I've had a real hard time choosing which one of these I wanted to put in. I'm gonna do mine. But I am gonna say No Man's Sky is probably the best kind of example of ongoing support for stuff that actually feels like DLC and feels like expansions and feels things that are worth paying for, and yet it's done for free. And I also want to bring it up as well because it's kind of, we're in the third, fourth. Like, how long ago did it come out? We're in like the third.
2016 it came out.
So which is just
coming up to the fifth. Yeah.
Which, just to recognise that fact as well, that it's still getting transformational updates, and the single biggest one happened most recently, I guess, when it came to changing the. Well, actually, I think there's 2 huge expansions this year that seriously changed the game. But the point is, No Man's Sky is a very kind of, on the face of it, a straightforward proposition. You're exploring space, you're exploring the universe, and it's procedurally generated, so that universe can be tweaked and can evolve over time as the developers decide to add things and change things. So the state of the game now is completely different to what it was when it first came out. And I think the way that they make it feel exciting every time there's an update and every time there's a DLC is in itself, worthy of praise, I think. And they just put a simple trailer out, and then they have a nicely designed page that just says, here's everything that you've got. Next time you boot up No Man's Sky, this is going to be in it, this is going to be in it, this is going to be in it. And it's always exciting. If you like sci-fi and if you like the idea of exploring the universe, just what they're doing is great. There's still a lot of downsides, I think, but on the whole, it's very exciting to me to know that it exists, and it's an easy, like 10, 11 gigabytes or something. No Man's Sky is an easy one to always keep on my system, just so I can jump in and play about. They're so responsive with feedback and stuff. So there was an issue on PS5 where the HDR didn't work. The game was unplayable because of the HDR issue. So everything was super, super bright. It's like a white sheet of paper when you booted up the game. You could just about make out your character. There's loads of complaints about it, and within 2 or 3 days there was a patch, and they fixed it. They just sorted it out, and they're the way they listen to the community and respond is kind of like the game is still in early access or something. Their behavior is like a Steam early access developer, or someone who's trying to still sell you the game. But they've already done it. Everyone's already bought it. Everyone who will ever buy No Man's Sky has already bought it, I think. And the only kind of sale they could be hoping for is for people rebuying it, maybe, and buying it on different platforms and stuff. That's right. But they're actually giving it away on Game Pass now, aren't they? I think.
Yeah, it's on there. So it's a funny thing with No Man's Sky because it takes up almost a unique spot in my head where I don't think it's my favorite game ever. I don't think it's nearly close. But I'll tell you what, it is a contender for. If I could take one game ever again and play it for the rest of my life, it could be that, because I know the content's there.
Yeah.
And I know that as I build my character and get past all this, monotonous crafting, after you do that for 10, 15 hours, you become a bit more independent to explore and enjoy. And I think that, honestly, if I had to go into isolation, for a month, and I could bring my PS5 with no internet connection on one game, I think it might be that. Honestly, I do. And it's just crazy. It could never have. It's really weird to see what would have happened to No Man's Sky if people hadn't perceived it as it was when it came out. People,
if it didn't have such a negative reaction.
Yeah. I can't help but, I mean, it's really hard. They did what a lot of people think is one of the worst jobs of a launch ever. After the hype, and I think a lot of people now would be saying, well, they've redeemed themselves. They've more than redeemed themselves, and it's a hell of a redemption arc, and to the point where you can't accuse them of being unfair or unjust. And I'm not really sure what features have been in that original trailer that now aren't in the game. And I know a lot of people would probably still say, well, it should have been there in the first place. But I mean, it's like, the stuff that they've added additionally has been huge, and it's certainly still ongoing. So I think.
Mm-hmm. Did they ever give it away on PlayStation Plus?
I don't think so.
Because it feels like that is probably the ultimate, because it came out on PlayStation 4 first, right? And then it came to Xbox. So to have it as a a PlayStation Plus game would be like a natural conclusion to its story almost, I think, and just giving it to everyone.
I wonder where we are in the sort of the grand vision. They say they used to say, and this is still the first step in the No Man's Sky journey.
Yeah, they do.
But now they just say there's more to come. So feels like they might be kind of.
Well, I think they're messing around, aren't they? Because they've had that Dead Space kind of expansion, didn't they? So they're in a place where they're like, well, you don't ever have to go anywhere near the Dead Space stuff, but it's there if you want it.
Yeah.
It's really a game you can dream up what you want to do in it and do it. You want to make an underwater base, you want to make a zoo, you want to go hunting for rare creatures, you can
play it as a hardcore survival game, you can play it as just a free Minecraft kind of just build your dreams kind of game. There's a lot of, and all the multiplayer features, let's not forget. So,
it's crazy to see a company go from, I reckon if there was a poll, if they asked the gamers, would you buy the next Hello Games game 1 month after No Man's Sky? It would probably be about 98% no. Yeah. And I reckon now it would probably be about an 85% yes. Do you know what I mean? Which for the gamers, it's a hell of a redemption arc. And it's great that this conversation can come up every year and they are still bringing the goods. So,
and those percentages, by the way, were brought to us by Jake's company, Dream Stats. Jake just dreams up the stats.
Dream Stats, that's it.
And then
live it, dream it, stats.
Proud sponsors of the official Game Awards.
Thanks, Geoff.
Okay, so that's a lot about No Man's Sky. Liam, what have you got? Best DLC / ongoing game?
So maybe a controversial choice, I don't know. But for me, it is actually Pokemon Sword and Shield, the Isle of Armor, and the Crown Tundra expansion packs. Because I enjoyed these a hell of a lot. Isle of Armor came out beginning of 2020, I think. I can't remember exactly when. But so that one saw your player character, your Pokemon trainer, fresh off of winning the championship, if you actually did finish the main game.
In June.
It came out in June.
Yeah.
Damn, I thought it came out sooner.
June was 7 years ago, Liam. Don't worry.
All right, So that came out. Isle of Armor, it added a new area to the game, the titular Isle of Armor, and it added the whole thing. You were on like this sort of hero's quest to train a Pokemon called Cubfu, because of course, and it was very despite Pokemon Sword and Shield being based on England and Wales and Scotland, for whatever reason, this one had a Eastern martial arts philosophy to it, because why not? And but Isle of Armor, it was good. It brought back in loads of new not even new Pokemon. It brought back loads of cut Pokemon that people were angry that were missing from the base game. So it added it, and it did what people, I think, wanted from the base game, where the wild area was the entire area of the game. It wasn't just like the old style Pokemon where you were going between routes, and then in Sword and Shield you had like pretty much the one wild area at the beginning. That was it, pretty much. Whereas the entire Isle of Armor was a wild area, so it's fully 3D camera. You could explore wherever you wanted. Loads of Pokemon, loads of different biomes. There was caves, the sea, like mountains, fields, a forest full of bug Pokemon. Brought in loads of stuff. And you got Cubfu, who was a pretty cool Pokemon, to be fair, as a legendary. I can't remember what his evolved form is called, but you could journey up one tower, which would make him into a fighting water type, or another tower, which would make him into a fighting dark type. But Isle of Armor, it was good, but the real meat of it was Crown Tundra, which came out, I think, last month, actually.
Yeah, last month.
Not too long ago. And there was so much stuff in Crown Tundra. Again, another big new area, like a wild area, had a village, had a Pokemon. Like, the whole story was centered around this legendary Pokemon who, the fields and he was responsible for like bountiful harvests, but all the villagers had forgotten about him, and your job was to make the villagers remember him. Very Wickermanish. praying to the old gods for a bountiful harvest and reminding the villagers to keep the faith.
Or die.
Or die, yeah, or starve to death. So, but yeah, like, Crown Tundra came out at the perfect time. Just as the weather was starting to, like, get cold here in the UK, Crown Tundra comes out. So it has a very nice... It'll be good to play over Christmas, actually, because it has a very nice Christmassy feel to it. And again, like, a big new area, loads of different biomes to explore, rivers, a big tree, literally like a big hollowed out tree that was just full of Pokemon. Caves again, you know, because every Pokemon has caves full of Zubats. Yeah, it's just like loads of new areas again. But this one had quite... The story part of it was quite sizable, to the point where it almost doubled my playtime from my original save file from Pokemon Sword and Shield. So I think between the base game and Isle of Armor, I played it for like 30 hours. But since Crown Tundra came out, I played it for almost 60 hours. So it's almost doubled the amount of time I put into the game. Loads of cool Pokemon to catch, like new variations of the legendary birds from the original Kanto region. Zapdos is, for whatever reason, a fighting type now. Articuno, for whatever reason, is a psychic type now. And Moltres was a dark type, I think. But then there was even more legendary Pokemon to catch. I won't spoil it in case people haven't seen it. But it just all brings back loads of fan favourite Pokemon. It looked really nice as well, which I know was a big criticism people had towards the base game of Sword and Shield, that it did not look like a Switch game. To be fair, they did up the fidelity for Crown Tundra by the looks of it, or at least I thought so.
How did they do that then?
Just like different effects and stuff, like... And because it was another wild area with fully 3D camera control, it made it just feel more open and varied. There's still like loads of popping and stuff. Like you could get like a foot away from a Pokemon and it would just pop up in front of your face and then cause a battle, which is always annoying. But it was like it was good stuff, this Crown Tundra expansion, and loads of fan favorite Pokemon. It's a joy, and it added an entire new game mechanic where sort of these like semi-randomized dungeons called Dynamax Expeditions, where you could go into them and it offered you different paths. You chose a pre-selected Pokemon to go into the dungeon with. You chose like different paths, which you could stumble upon rare items. You could fight other Pokemon. You could catch new Pokemon, or you could save it all until the very end, where if you got to the end of the dungeon, you were often rewarded with the chance to catch like a legendary Pokemon, which in my case, it was Suicune from Gen 2, one of the legendary dogs, which was just in terms of games that made me sheer happiness. Yeah, this was one of them. Like every time I was always like going, oh, it's an Articuno, or oh, it's Wailmer, or oh, it's Feel. I was so excited about everything. It brought me like a childlike sense of joy again for Pokemon, which again, I know, like I think I said it when I talked about it originally, I know it's a bit shitty to expect a person to pay for an expansion pass on top of an already expensive 50 quid for a base game to get some like actual meaningfully good content in your Pokemon game. But I had a great time with these expansions, and if you're a Pokemon fan, I couldn't recommend them enough.
Okay.
It's really cool to hear Pokemon fans get happy with Pokemon, because I feel like Pokemon fans are always like searching for that first same hit that they got the first time they played it, and they can they never seem to get that same thing. And like so, like long suffering friend of mine and friend of the channel, Kale. Me and him have been. I think one of the first things we ever spoke about was Pokemon, and he's like really big into it. And him and a couple of other people I know who got this Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra thing, Crown Tundra specifically because it's been recent. I've been loving it, and it's great to hear people who like Pokemon loving it, and that's I remember how playing Pokemon when it was good felt. So like it's good to hear. It's a shame that it comes at such a price, and it couldn't have been like No Man's Sky where it's added, but it's good to see another turnaround, and I guess Nintendo will hopefully learn a lesson and launch a really big thing. But that's cool because it's I've seen to notice that. So my choice is... Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, I know I'm a fanboy because like I'm wearing a Pokemon T-shirt. You can't see.
Yeah.
That's Rayquaza. But there we go. I like Pokemon.
Fanboys don't always mean that they're going to take the shit, though, innit? And that's the thing with Nintendo. Yeah. Especially Nintendo, man. It's like, oh, God. Yeah. It's just, you got to love to hate them, haven't you? But I don't have as much of a really long explanation for the reason I've picked this game, because I actually only covered it a couple of weeks ago, but Destiny 2's had a recent expansion, and it's brought a lot of stuff to the game. It's brought a lot of new mechanics. It's brought a lot of subclasses. It's brought a new area. It's taken some areas away. But I think the one thing it's given me back, without trying to sound a little bit, too poignant or whatever, is it's brought back that nice feeling I had when I first played Destiny 1 and 2. And that's what you want. You want that. And I didn't think I was going to get that until I played Destiny 3, especially because I've already played Destiny 2. But I'm playing Destiny 2 now with this cool excitement to check in every week again. And that's half because of this new expansion and the content's... Well, it's all because of the new expansion, but I mean, the game is free. Destiny 2 is completely free, and a lot of the stuff that the expansion brought along with it has been updates, quality of life changes to the free game. So for that reason, I have to say it, because it's the year that they made Destiny 2 free, and you would never, ever in a million years guess it was a free game. Never. I can't believe the quality of it for a free game. Unbelievable. And you could get hundreds of hours out of this for complete nothingness. Like, it's just crazy. Anyway, yeah. So Destiny 2 lives to fight another day. And I think it's actually going to have a really good year next year because of this, the way it's going. So, yeah, that's my pick.
Definitely going to be one of my Christmas games for sure. I'm playing multiplayer and stuff, and I'm still like, I've been enjoying Call of Duty on PS5, but I'm still like hungry for like a good first-person shooter that fucking looks amazing and plays amazing, and I love the subject matter and stuff. Just the Cold War America kind of stuff is not, exactly like compared to my attachment to Destiny. So I'm still kind of feel like I'm missing out. So that's definitely going to be my Christmas game. I'll tell you what they could do with though now on Destiny, a better character creator, because I was going through it and it's shite. It's
it's absolutely. If you I showed you a gift, and I on the WhatsApp of my guy, my bass player looking, he looks ugly, and I wish I could put a helmet on him, but I can't figure out how you do it. So I look like a guy that listened to The Cure, who's still alive. Yeah. And has gone into space.
That's what it is. It's such a bad mismatch. It's like Adam Driver under the helmet of the
Kylo Ren.
Yeah, but without any of the interesting character depth and three-dimensionality. It's just it's like, you look like a fucking...
I look like I went to space because I was too edgy for Earth. And it's just, it's...
I look like I went to space and I didn't get on with anyone on Earth in my old school, so my parents moved me to another school.
I not famously, but everyone who knows me knows I hate character creations. I think they're a waste of time.
It's iconic.
I don't give a fuck about... I hate it. I remember Demon's Souls, I got it, just before it came out in the UK, right? So I was playing it, and finally, my friends in the UK got PlayStation 5s we can watch. So I'm watching 3-hour streams dedicated to building the perfect face. Within the first 5 minutes, they got a fucking helmet on.
Yeah,
fuck off. You're not taking that helmet off either. So but I recognise that Destiny has the shittest character creation to the point where I regret clicking a preset emo-looking guy because I thought I could have a helmet on. I can't. Yeah. So I regret it.
I don't understand why you can't change it either. You just can't. You can. You know what I mean? You can't just go.
I can shoot a laser cryostasis death ray to a horde of AI goblins, but I can't have some, light cosmetic surgery.
You can also be rebuilt from death and respawn. So
constantly
by a mystical energy.
Yeah. But you can't grow a beard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's Botox me.
There are no facial hair options either. That's the thing. There's like it's basically like choose a face, choose your eye color, and choose like one of like 3 haircuts.
Yeah,
that's why you always pick
archives.
That's why you always pick EXO. Then you're just a stupid robot.
Yeah,
humanity is nothing.
Okay,
so that's Destiny 2.
That's the best DLC / ongoing game category. Let's move on now to best game. What we played, didn't come out in 2020 category.
Yep.
So this is the penultimate category before best game, which is obviously going to be the main event.
Because do you want me to go? Because I didn't speak about Destiny too much, and it gives you time.
Please go. What's the best game? What you played? What didn't come out this year?
I actually reckon it's something a little bit. Like we spoke about it just a few podcasts ago, but I've been thinking about it more and more, and it is Dead Space. Like Dead Space 1 is the best game I played this year. It is very, very good game. Like archetypal good. Like it's not the first horror game in a spaceship. And I seem to remember all of my hang-ups about this game was that it was going to be too similar to Doom 3 on like the original Xbox or whatever, which is a game about being in a clanky corridor-filled shithole, fixing it slowly. And the game it goes places that I didn't expect. And mechanically as well, like you get a real, considering you're in the middle of nowhere on a spaceship, with a lot of blinking light bulbs, you do see there's a good bit of scenery. Like there is a lot to it, and just loads of little bits that I remember, like running along this like bit on top of the spaceship to get to this stupid sit-in laser gun to fight. But that run over to that, and there's all this debris flying towards me, zero gravity bits, the outside bits, the bit at the end, man,
the hospital, like wards and stuff like that.
Yeah, all the churchy bits and the amount of effort and detail gone into it, and the way that it is compartmentalized by you're on this like you travel from area to area in a tram, and you don't really seem to return. So it's not like a Metroidvania like I thought it was going to be, where it's like I don't know why I seem to think that. I seem to remember in my head that it was like almost like you need a red credit card thing, swiping thing, to get through this door. You have to go over there. You go into this big empty room. It's an arena. There's nobody. You pick up the card. You turn around, and all of a sudden, this arena, the lights go off, come back on, and all these enemies stop crawling out of vents. It doesn't do that trick. The Uncharted does that a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And horror games and
crucially, Doom.
Doom is exactly. I hate. It's not like one of the most like patronizing gamer moments ever when you see a big arena because there's lots of shoulder high walls, and you see the goal ahead, but you've got to come back. You get there no problem to try and acclimatize you to the arena, I bet, and then you pick it up, and then it's just so boring. And horror games are rife for that sort of thing, especially ones where you return to areas later. Resident Evil 2 manages to kind of get away with it a little bit, but a lot of games have tried to do that and failed, I think. And I thought Dead Space was that from what I played when I originally played it. And I'm really surprised that the story is like a lot better than I gave it credit for originally as well, because I think about it more. I still haven't started Dead Space 3 yet, but I feel like I don't want to, because even though it's not going to be as good as the first one, the second one certainly wasn't, but it was good. I do like the character. I think the suit is iconic. I think I do just think it's like a masterpiece of a game, because everything about it is good, and it wasn't fresh. It wasn't the first game to do what it was trying to do, so it had a lot of competition, and it came out like.
Well, it was very, very derivative of a lot of things, but then it had the really original stuff, like the.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, sorry. The concept and the setting and a lot of it, I think it's
even the general type third-person survival horror, which is straight out off of Resident Evil 4.
That's
it only exists because Resident Evil 4.
That's what I was just saying. Yeah, most of it's from Resi, isn't it? But yeah, it manages to it's just what you want. It's like when someone does a spin on something. Everyone who ripped off Resident Evil 4 wished they could have been Dead Space. But so far, pretty much only Dead Space has managed to do it. From maybe there's other games out there that I haven't played that are really based on Resident Evil. But it wears its inspiration so openly. And oh man, so yeah, I really and I like horror games and shit. And again, like sci-fi is fun for me because I have no bar in my head. I think I'm not going to give a fuck. It's going to be about particles and shit. I don't care. And then when it gets me and it's right and it's good, I think yes.
Which when I say I love sci-fi, that's what I think of. And there's certain ideas about space and the universe and stuff that I just find really appealing and scary. And then certain things try and do something with it. Just with how big space is, I find that really fascinating and terrifying. And the idea that you can, travel so far and find things, it's like the vast ocean kind of thing. It's the same kind of thing. What's out there across the horizon is that exact thing. So anything that touches on that or explores it, I find great. So Dead Space really fucking dives into that and goes crazy with it. So
yeah.
And I tell you what, yeah. Imagine the fucking haptics on Dead Space, man. Imagine a PS5 controller on there.
I don't know what needs to happen, but
I will pay.
That series, it doesn't. I don't know how the third one ends yet, but I think they could do a nice reboot of Dead Space 1 standalone without the second and third one, and it could be a good standalone game. But man, and that game with a new lick of paint, if that looked as good as Resident Evil 2 looked, fucking hell!
Imagine.
Make
it happen, someone.
Yeah.
I'll say mine quickly.
Okay.
Best game, what didn't come out this year, but I played this year, was Banner Saga, the whole trilogy. I've been hovering over playing Banner Saga for years, really, and I've tried it even on PC, tried it on PlayStation, didn't really get on with it. It didn't work for me. I didn't like the combat. There's just something off about it. It didn't quite have this weight that I wanted from turn-based games, having been spoiled by XCOM, the Firaxis XCOM, and then XCOM 2, and it just didn't, I don't know. It never worked out. And then I picked it up on the Switch for about £4 or something, and I fucking loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was like reading a book every night. It was absolutely fantastic. Real kind of old school BioWare feeling story and choices and relationships with other characters, and then using those characters in battles and stuff. And it was just what a great recipe. And then the rest of the trilogy is it really sticks to the recipe really closely. It's not like one of these games where the first one comes out and then it's good, and then the second one is revolutionizes it and change. It doesn't do that really. It just kind of ups the ante and makes things a bit more depressing in the story, and things feel a bit more severe the further you get on. It feels like you're approaching the end of the world. But the game doesn't really change all that much from the beginning. But what does change is your kind of relationship to the characters, and you've got this caravan of people which you can control how many who and who you don't. Can you trust people you find on the side of the road or not? Maybe you let them in and they actually help out, but then they'll betray you in the second game, and all the games are connected like the old Mass Effect trilogy. I played through the whole lot on Nintendo Switch in kind of a month or two in the middle of winter, and I absolutely loved it. Really good series, and that's probably that's absolutely definitely the best game that I've played that didn't come out this year. There was like a new discovery for me. What about you, Liam?
So I can't actually remember. I think I bought it at the very tail end of last year, but I didn't play it until this year. And by this year I mean literally like January 2nd. And that was River City Girls on Steam. So this is a 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up made by Way Forward, who they've sort of built a name for themselves as like this retro throwback sort of development house. And this is a sort of sequel to River City Ransom, famous game off the NES. Because that's a series that's been going on for God knows how many years, and it's still going to this day, River City Girls being the newest one. And it is, for me, as someone who absolutely loves and reveres the Scott Pilgrim game that came out on PS3 and Xbox 360, this is basically a spiritual successor to that. It's got some really amazing pixel art. The soundtrack is perfection. The combat is really fun, and it's not just a normal side-scrolling beat 'em up. You level up your characters. Like, it's got some RPG elements to it, where you level up, you unlock new combos and new moves. It's got local co-op if you want to do that. So only 2-player though, because there's 2 main characters. It's got a great sense of humour to it. I've already said visually, it's amazing. It's just pure fun to play through. As soon as I finished the story mode, I immediately started another playthrough on New Game Plus and went for 100% it. And that was on Steam, where achievements on Steam don't mean shit. You can 100% a game on Steam, and who cares? No one. Right. Literally no one. But and it is not often I feel compelled to 100% a game. But this was just like the perfect storm of music, gameplay, visuals, and a beautifully designed throwback to the games of old. Personally, I thought this was better than Streets of Rage 4, even though a lot of people are like, oh yeah, Streets of Rage 4, best, beat 'em up ever made. Nah, it's River City Girls, much better. Play that one instead. Fuck Streets of Rage 4 off.
That's our official stance.
It's great.
And Battletoads while we're at it, right?
Oh, Battletoads doesn't even deserve to be in the same conversation.
There you go.
River City Girls is
here first at the official Game Awards.
I loved the name.
It's such a fun game.
Speaking of, I'll give an honourable mention to the game that was this close to taking it from Dead Space, is fucking Cuphead, I had such a funny relationship with that. I went from hating myself, hating the game, to completing the game 2 or 3 days later, paying full price for it on the Switch. And then I went on, I think it was the only business trip I've taken since COVID. I took it with me out of all the games I could take it on the Switch. I took Cuphead so I could be alone with my pain, and I tried to finish it in 24 hours and got really close to it. I love Cuphead now. I would say to everybody, get Cuphead. And Cuphead 2, I can't wait for. But, it was and it's a funny relationship there with me and Cuphead, isn't it? So, but River City Girls, I guess.
I have the same feeling. Like, if I see it on sale on the Switch, I might pick it up just for play it on the go, because it's so fun, and it'll be good on Switch as well.
Yeah. Okay, so that was the best game, what we played, what didn't come out this year award. So we're moving up to the main event, the finale, the grand finale. Best game, and voted for by you, the gamers, and a panel of expert judges all over the games industry. Jason Schreier was involved. All of them. Henry Cavill, the actor, he likes it.
He does like games. That's the thing about him. He doesn't look like a gamer.
Yeah,
but he's a gamer.
I thought you said Ken Cavill then. Like
Ken Cavill.
His little known brother, Ken Cavill.
Kind of got him into games.
Good name, man. Ken Cavill is a fucking good name. So that's where we're up to. That's the best game award, as voted for by you, the gamers, and the games industry at large.
Yeah. There's 3 of them for some reason. I don't know what happened there.
What's going on is there's going to be 3 games, or is there? Jake, what's your best game?
Sekiro. Nah, man, it's Demon Souls. It's got to be Demon Souls. It's a bit of a, I don't know. It's next gen, and it's exactly what I like about being on the planet. It's everything I like about being alive. It's everything I like. It's great. I had such a good time, man. Like I had a couple of days off work. I ordered Domino's pizza. Other pizzas are available and cheaper, way cheaper. Fuck Domino's price. I know they are nice though. That's the fucking problem. I think that I was buying this game to play with the knowledge that Dark Souls and From Software's output is the best output of this fucking century. I love it. I think it's everything I like. And even, you know what? Yeah, even down to my hobbies outside of anything, just thinking back to my child playing Tibia, thinking about the fact I was addicted to that loss of it there. In fact, when I watch boxing and I see these 2 things, I know that it could all be over with one fell swoop. If there's one missed dodge and one haymaker, it's over. You're fighting fucking old King Galant in this, mate. It's the same thing. He has to be perfect for 1 second and it's over. I have to be perfect for the whole 12 rounds. That's what it's like. Every battle is like fighting Deontay Wilder. It's the start of it all as well. So I was buying it for that. I was not expecting the game to look as good as it does. Yeah. I wasn't expecting the game to have as much a power over me as it does. Like, by the time you've seen this, I would have got the platinum, right? And it's the hardest one out of all of them. I fucking went in and I respect it so much, man. Like, it's a bit of a tricky one because it's like the New Game Plus is a bitch. It's a total fucking bitch. And what's weird is when you get New Game Plus again, it's like the New Game Plus on the other games. It's like maybe they do 10% more damage and they've got double the health or whatever. But the first New Game Plus is a beast of a thing. It's super challenging, but again, it's super fair. You have all this cool wonder of finding items that do better damage against other things, and it was really exciting to be. Again, it's the same with Sekiro. It's really, really exciting to be on that forefront. I got to play it the first week. I was playing it before people in the UK was playing it, and I was part of that conversation, and that adds to the whole thing. All this, it'll be the highlight of my year when I think back. Like, I've never played a game that looks as good as this or runs as good as this on my TV downstairs off work. It's I'll remember it forever, and it's weird because I feel like that's the Souls series is over now because Dark Souls is done. Bloodborne is a separate thing. Sekiro is a separate thing. Demon Souls is weird because it's not really connected, but it is. They do hint a lot towards what happens in Demon Souls does then lead to. There's similar characters, and so I didn't ever play that.
Mechanically, it's just the DNA. It's the same game, isn't it? You know?
Yeah. It's great, and what I do like about it that the other ones, well, maybe Dark Souls 2 does have, is that it is kind of level based. Like, everything is put into like world 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can do that in any order. But then you've got like level 1, level 2, and that's the real star of the show. The world design and the level design. That's the real hardest boss as well. The bosses in these games are a cinch compared to the other Souls games, but it's getting to that. It's running through to the boss, and there's lots of it. My favorite world is hard to decide, but I do think Shrine of Storms, like World 4 was my favorite. But like, it's just everything I like about playing games. It pisses off my wife when she walks in because she thinks she's seen it 100 times. It makes me feel like I've accomplished something. I feel like it's, I get over the adversity that
You say she thinks she's seen it 100 times, but she probably has, though, in fairness. I mean, that's...
yeah, exactly. What's the difference between fucking Boletaria Castle and fucking Drangleic? Doesn't matter. Exactly. Doesn't matter. But it's... I like a moth to a flame, man. I just... I don't know what it is, but no other game treats you like it. And that's the thing, and like... that's why there's so many imitators, and that's why the whole meme is about... It has to be Game of the Year. I didn't even want it to be because it's too obvious and boring. I wanted to say something exciting, but I can't. I cannot say anything else other than that.
Well, I'm going to, before Liam says his, I want to say my bit quickly because I don't want to end on a downer. If I were to say anything, I would say Demon Souls because it is the best looking game I've ever played. And I said that to you guys within about 2 minutes of...
Yeah,
it was, very rarely in your life do you play stuff that actually looks like a fucking, a bullshot E3 kind of trailer. You just don't, and there was something going on in my brain that was like, it shouldn't. This looks like I'm watching someone else play it. It's very hard to explain, and the initial first impression of it was amazing, and I love it, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying there, Jake, about it being. That's why you play games and stuff, and it has this really like old-fashioned sense about it. And the fact that it's a launch title on a system is fucking excellent, right? It looks amazing. It's really good, kind of. That's the other key point as well is that you said Souls is over, and I'm feeling this as well because once I've finished Demon Souls. That's it for me with the Souls series. I've always had Demon Souls as like, well, at least I haven't done that one yet, but after this I will have. So there's kind of a sadness to it, which is strange. However, I haven't finished it, so I don't think I should say that's my best game of the year.
Yeah.
However, there is nothing I've played this year that I think is worthy of me saying this is the best thing I've played.
Yeah. Strong words from Geoff Keighley here. Cannot believe it.
Yeah, friend of the industry. Just being honest, there's a lot of games that I've played and finished and liked, and there's things that are even up for contention for game of the year at the other Game Awards, like Doom Eternal, which is in the running. The Last of Us Part 2, which I just couldn't. I just couldn't. I don't find the things it gets praised for. I don't agree with that. I don't agree that the storytelling is that good. I really don't. I really don't agree that it's the writing and everything is on a level with HBO and whatever you were saying earlier. And I don't think Doom Eternal is a memorable enough experience aside from just being another good game.
I don't really think anybody does, to be honest. I think that it's telling that Doom Eternal is in there, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but it's hardly like it's I don't know. That sounds really horrible. I don't mean to be.
I know what you mean, possibly because mechanically it's good. It's like really tight and just a good fun game, and but it has these weird moments of like what was that enemy, Liam? That's like
the Marauder.
The Marauder, where you just you're like this unstoppable fucking wave of death all the way through, and then a Marauder shows up, and the game just it's like being tripped up when you're sprinting 100 miles an hour, and the game just kind of floors you. And there's like these weird decisions around, in a couple of places that just,
yeah.
But that's not a big issue. The point I'm making is that it's just not a memorable, original, exciting experience in the way that Doom 2016 was. Because when Doom 2016 happened, that was like that Mad Max Fury Road thing of like, fuck, this is like just really, really good and exhilarating. But then that has happened now, so all they can do is like dial it up and speed it up.
Just before, because Mike's basically saying it doesn't have one, but
I don't have a game.
Just like before Liam goes into his, because we know Liam's got one. It's a definitive answer. I just wanted to just kind of, again, to just reiterate about there not being a downer on purpose thing here. 2020 Game Award nominees are Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us 2, Final Fantasy VII, Animal Crossing, and Doom. And I wonder how many of them games will elicit the same kind of responses as now when I read out to you the Game of the Award nominees for last year. So would you like a refresher of the nominees of last year?
Sure.
Okay. The Outer Worlds, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Resident Evil 2, Death Stranding, Control, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. I do think there is a big difference there, to be honest with you. The Outer Worlds, not really sure why it wasn't Disco Elysium, which it should have been. But other than that, everything else there is like, you can't argue with Smash, you can't argue with Control, can't argue with Death Stranding, can't argue with Sekiro and Resident Evil 2. But this year, and I just think that, and as well, I feel like this year's been a bit divisive because I know how many people listen to us that don't have PlayStations and they have PC, and half of the games aren't available to them. They just aren't available to people that own a PC or an Xbox. Animal Crossing was always going to be like Nintendo only, but for over half the nominees to be locked to Sony is a bit, I don't know, but yeah.
Tsushima was another one that I played, and I didn't play much of it. It just kind of felt like another open world game, and there was people saying that it was the best looking game ever and stuff. And it just isn't. There's artistically, it's nice, and there's it's got a good character, and in terms of the visuals, it looks like its own thing, and they've done a good job of making it feel like sparse and. There's no big busy UI and things, so there are really nice visual things about it, but it's not at all the best looking game that's
no.
And it's an open world game.
I keep reading the 2020 nominees and forgetting Hades, so I'm sorry about that because I'm a big fan of Hades. By the way, I love Hades. The reason I don't talk about it this year because I played it last year, so it doesn't. To me, it's from last year, but I'm glad that some people are on it. So. I guess the big focus for everybody this year into consoles and preparing for next gen. And I want to say, if anybody who's listening to this a little bit newer or anything like that, we're recording this before the launch of Cyberpunk 2077. Just in case something insane happens and Cyberpunk is hands down the best game ever made, better than The Witcher 3 even was, then it's because we haven't played it yet. We're recording this the week before Cyberpunk launches, but arguably that will be in a running for next year's Game Awards anyway. The official Game Awards here with us, Geoff Keighley, Swedish Chef, and Brie Larson, or any pretenders. So, Liam, you have got a game. You haven't.
What you got, Liam?
Excuse. You got a game.
I don't know. If you know me, you could probably see it coming a mile away. But of course, it's Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I absolutely adored. From the very opening seconds of that game, I put the disc in, I let it install, I put the second disc in, let that install, because it was a 2-disc game, remember? 100 gig, this game. And from the very opening moments, when those first, chords chime of the classic Final Fantasy VII music, I was I was welling up, genuinely, my eyes were welling. I was like, oh, it's getting to me already. And it's a masterclass on how to do a reinvention / remake, I think. Everything from the beautifully expanded combat, where they managed to somehow blend turn-based commands with real-time action combat, blending the old school systems of the ATB bar, blending that with all real-time, almost Devil May Cry-ish combat. Visually, it is a tour de force. I've not seen a game that looks so good in a long time. It lends itself to that because it's very stylized, anime-esque looking aesthetic anyway. But it was on PS4 Pro. It was so beautiful to look at. The music was amazing, and just the way they expanded the game, I thought was fantastic. Even from just the opening bombing mission, where in the original Final Fantasy VII, that's done in 10 minutes. It takes an hour and a half in the remake because they've added new areas, new enemies, new places to explore. The Scorpion robot boss fight is a whole spectacle in itself, instead of just being defend while he raises his tail. It's a whole fucking explosions going off, missiles flying everywhere. The characters performed fantastically. All the voice actors did such an amazing job, especially whoever voiced Aerith was she was so good in the game. Just seeing all these characters brought to life in such spectacular fashion. Cloud, who I actually never liked before, I actually like him now because he's more than just he's still an emo boy, but he's an emo boy with a bit of character development this time.
An emo boy with a heart, not like my Destiny 2 character.
No, Cloud doesn't listen to The Cure. So that's safe. Just all these Barrett is great. Tifa is amazing. Expanding on characters as well, like Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge, giving them their whole plot. Instead of just being in the game for 2 hours, they get the whole plot arc. Especially Jesse, who gets her own side plot in the game. All these all the locations, the Sector 7 slums and stuff like that, beautifully imagined. Apart from Cloud's apartment door. But, you can't fix that anymore because it's a staple now with a meme. So you've got to leave that. New characters, I can take or leave Thingy, the new soldier character, I forget his name, the one on the bike. I can take or leave him. That's fine. But, seeing all the classic characters like Reno and the other Turks turn up, it's a beautiful blend of nostalgia and the new. And, I will say, I do see people's points though, because it does make some pretty controversial story changes towards the end of Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I know a lot of people were not very happy about. But at the same time, it has me excited for what is next, because it means it's going to be fresh. It's not just going to be Part 2 with Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's not going to be we're going to the Golden Saucer and we're going to the Ascension Temple and Bing Bam Boom, like, surprise, you know, the famous scene happens, but recreated in 4K or whatever. You know, there's potential for more room to expand on stuff. I'm excited for the future of Final Fantasy. Between Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 and Final Fantasy 16 coming out, I'm incredibly excited, and I think it's a great time to be a Final Fantasy fan again. That is mostly...
going from strength to strength even as well, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. And, you know, like, I think the strength of the Final Fantasy brand being as big, as powerful as it is again, is in large part thanks to Final Fantasy VII Remake, and not forgetting Final Fantasy 14 as well. You know, that is also a very fantastic game that just, with each patch, gets better and better and better somehow. Insanely, you know, it's an MMO that's been rebuilt from the ground up, and it continues going strength to strength, getting better every update.
Bad story, bad press.
No, not at all.
It should have missed now, but it hasn't missed yet. Everything.
Yeah.
I would have, if it wasn't for Demon's Souls, if it was any other game other than Demon's Souls, it would be Final Fantasy VII. Out of the games in the Game Awards, those other guys' Game Awards, I want Final Fantasy VII to win. It will be Animal Crossing, I think, but it deserves to win. And the same as you, Liam, I grew up on Final Fantasy VII. Even played it for again recently. Absolutely, like the game. You know, I made some like lifelong friends through talking about, like, a lot of my childhood friends we met through talking about this game, Final Fantasy VII. It's such a special game, and to get it right like they did, I think is just unbelievable. The ending is very, very weird, but I'm on your side, and I think that it's exciting rather than disrespectful.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
And knowing that the original is still there, but I think it's the one thing that, you know, is hard to talk about because it's hard to really measure is how much hype the game had. It had hype, not like Cyberpunk has hype, where they don't know what the game is. This has got hype from people who know exactly where every elixir and Phoenix Down is, every single thing, the game inside out. And for them to live up to the hype that much is just unbelievable. And it's also weird that both me and Liam have picked games that are remakes for the Game of the Year.
True. Like,
well, I was about to say that you know, you think of the quality of remakes that we've had this gen, starting in terms of ones that are really fucking banging it out of the park and not just remasters for me, Ratchet and Clank. Moving on from that, the amount of fucking, you know, to think Resident Evil 2, like Resident Evil 3, if Resident Evil 2 hadn't happened and Resident Evil 3 came out the way it did, I reckon that'd have more love than what it's had. It's only that Resident Evil 2 set the fucking bar with it. And Resident Evil 2 was excellent, was really, really good. And it makes you excited with a possibility. Like, every time we talk about an old game, you can't help but think, oh, imagine if they did a remake of it. Imagine if they remade Dead Space. The first thing you say after you play it and finish it, you would wonder how it would look and how it the haptics on PS5.
I think the conversation going forward for this now is going to be that when you're a company acquiring these IPs and when you're a team of 400 AAA developers, it's whether you go down the very, 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 very honourable stick and true remake, or do you do a reboot, a reimagining? So we're talking Demon's Souls versus Final Fantasy VII. You know, it is two different sides of it. And we got Fable coming up, for example. We still don't know what that is, but we do know that it's not going to be that Demon's Souls treatment for Fable 1, where it is everything down to the sand goose details, But I think when it comes to how people like us are going to be perceiving these IPs like in the future, that's what it's going to be. Are you in the camp of just leave the original how it is and are you going to do something reimagining it, or are you in the camp of look at Demon's Souls, look what Demon's Souls, look at the reviews, look at the love, look at the fans, everybody loves shit like this? Because Final Fantasy VII, the ending is so divisive. You can't be like, oh, okay, you know, a lot of people are like, this is really cool and exciting, or what, they've massacred my boy meme, you know? So I think that's kind of what we're going to get a lot more of. Like, you know, it's exciting about Dead Space coming back if it comes back. But what will they do? Will it be just the cookie cutter thing? Because the thing is, I think a lot of it's down to like it being there already. You know, like Demon's Souls, the whole game's on YouTube right now. The walkthroughs, the guides, everything like that. The conversation is just I'm going on Demon's Souls and I'm seeing conversations from 7 years ago that they could be from 7 hours ago, and they're just as relevant. But if Final Fantasy VII remake, you have to play it to be a part of the conversation.
Yeah.
So we'll see a lot more of it, won't we? But I think that's the two paths everything's going to take.
2020 year of the remakes, isn't it?
Final Fantasy VII remake as well, though. Like, I was that compelled by it. As soon as the credits finished rolling, I started the game again on hard and went for the platinum.
Straight away, didn't you?
Straight away. And it was like 2 a.m. when I finished that game.
Yeah.
And I played for like another 2 hours on New Game Plus. Just, the best platinum I've ever gotten as well, I think. Just in terms of pure satisfaction. I actually tweeted about it. That's how much I enjoyed
that's what you know, right?
getting that platinum. So it's an event when I tweet, apparently. But
it's true. The remake... The remakes have come in strong this year. Resident Evil 3, like Mike says, it was a really good game, but it just didn't get the... And Mafia 1 got a remake.
Mafia was good. I played that. That was a great remake.
Mike kind of joked before we recorded this a little bit about one of the games that he was playing and enjoying. It was a remix. Well, do you want to say that, Michael, if you've forgotten what I'm on about?
Forgot what it was.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remakes.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's true. The amount of remakes that we're getting that are good, that are really good. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 I played a lot of, and it was just really good fun. It was just good fun and really simple, and that's pretty faithful, but it does, it kind of reimagines things, and with like the music is a really good example where a lot of the soundtrack is kind of, there's just new stuff in it, and I've ended up listening to loads of new stuff that's on that just through playing that, and that's exactly, I think it's in the IGN review or something that actually pointed this out. That's exactly what the original Tony Hawk Pro Skater games did, and that's how I got into like some of the like the punk pop type of shit, from back, which I are still somewhere on my Spotify. Like I probably have still listened to things recently that I would first listen to on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Tony Hawk's Underground and all that kind of shit. So the remakes are really exciting, and I'm excited about what other remakes could happen, and thinking of like Knights of the Old Republic and Dead Space and Fable and all of these games that I love, and I would just love to see what could be done with Metal Gear Solid. Like fucking imagine Metal Gear Solid 1, 2 and 3. Imagine just any one of them. I
know. Yeah, exactly.
If there's any game I'd be judgmental of, it'd be a Metal Gear Solid 1 remake.
Well, save the judgment for the Metal Gear Solid movie that's now in the work.
But it's got my boy Oscar.
Yeah, exactly. So, we mentioned it a little bit earlier on, right at the beginning. I think I'm not sure the times of everything like this, but I think that probably the next podcast you listen to from us will be us talking about then games coming out next year, right? So, like, when Mike was kind of coming to the decision in his head that he hasn't actually got a favorite game of the year, it sometimes makes you think, like, is it Mike or not you, Mike, but is it you? Because a lot of people in our comment section all year. I remember when Tsushima was out, people in our comments, no exciting games. But then I think one thing everyone can agree on is that 2021 is looking pretty exciting. So we will dedicate a whole podcast to that, and we can dream together. I think we did that last year, and I was dreaming about Pikmin and Animal Crossing, and now I've played them both. So that was nice. Nice to manifest, isn't it, guys? Eh?
Yep. It is, yeah. Look forward to that next week. We hope you're enjoying your Christmas. Hope you're having a nice break away from work and whatnot. Let us know in the comments what games you're playing. Keep your emails coming into DS Special Moves.
The candy, sweets. Tell me what you're eating. I want to know. I want to hear about.
Tell who are you, Alison Brie or Brie Larson? I can't remember.
No, Brie Larson.
Tell Brie Larson about your candy. That's it from me, Geoff Keighley. Thanks for joining us at the Game Awards.
Thanks to the Swedish Chef.
Thanks to the Swedish Chef.
He's going to really say that. We're going to really see that this week. Thanks to the Swedish Chef. Thank you.
Nice one. Happy Christmas. See you later.